this imaginary game we're all playing where we pretend to be someone we're not at work so we can get money that we pretend is valuable, so we can pay for our house that we pretend to own, and we can watch people pretend to be something else on social media, and we listen to a government that's pretending that they care about us, and we're going to a store to buy food that they're pretending is healthy. What the fuck?
This is Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. Kahala Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai Ba'Shem Kodash, which are the true Hebrew names of the Most High Father, Yahweh, which is Hebrew for He is, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, which is the true Hebrew name of the Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the video we just watched, where that Issacharite pointed out the silliness of the current world, because what's happening now is because of all the hardships that the Most High is putting upon the earth, because He's bringing these devil Edomites' kingdom down. A lot of people are starting to awake out of the spell that we've all been under for a very long time. And what do I mean by that? Well, in the scenario that the guy said, right? Notice every aspect of all the things that he brought out, from the way you act at work, code switching, right? You act one way at work, one way at home, right? Basically, we're pretending to be things that we're not. And why is that? Well, because you see, the current world is built on a foundation of lies. And why is that? Well, because right now, Satan currently rules this world. And Satan has given the world over to his people. And those people would be what the Bible refers to as the Edomites, okay? The descendants of Jacob's evil twin brother, Esau. When you read the Bible in its true narrative, when you actually read it for yourself and not go to these churches so you can be lied to and told a whole other false story about the Bible, you find out that the Bible talks about coming kingdoms that will come before the very end, when the Messiah comes back for the second coming. And then the true world, or basically call it true life, where we don't have to pretend that, you know, to be something at work. We don't have to pretend that we're using, you know, valuable money. We don't have to have a government that pretends that they're trying to help us. We don't have to pretend we're eating healthy foods, right? In the real world, right, the kingdom to come, when the Lord is on the earth ruling, and us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, are co-rulers with the Messiah. And that kingdom, that's coming. That's heaven on earth, okay? But before we get into that, we have to go through this proving period, okay, which we understand as history. You know, the Bible documents the beginning parts of this period. And right now, we're currently living through the end part of this period. And through that whole period, you've had, out of the 18 nations that are upon the face of the earth today, right? When I say 18 nations, I'm talking about the 18 biblical nations that the 195 nations, which the UN recognizes today, go back to. 17 of the nations that the Lord did not choose, because remember, the Lord only chose one nation, one people, that would be the Israelites, who today would be known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Plus, there's going to be Israelites coming out of every one of the other nations in the world, but predominantly through those three groups, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans. The other Israelites through their father's lineage will go back to the bloodline of these people. Well, right now we're currently living in the end period of the last heathen rulership. That would be the empire of the Edomites, or what we would refer to today as the Caucasian and Israeli races. Okay, this is why we're seeing all this kingdoms of lies and everything that this man just explained that we all have to live through to survive in this place. Okay, we can't be our real selves. We can't even refer to ourselves as Israelites without having that taken against us, right? Just like in the times of the Maccabees, where it was made illegal to refer to yourself as a Jew. Well, that hasn't gotten to that point yet, but we're very close to it with these Amalekites and Edomites in power right now, pushing the hate speech bills and the anti-Semitic bills, which they're ultimately put in place to stop the truth from coming out, because they could see that this truth is getting out with their attacks against Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, and a bunch of other people who come out with this truth. But again, I don't want to digress, so let's get back to this, right? The Bible predicted these kingdoms that would come in the book of Daniel, the 5 kingdoms. Okay, well, we're currently living in the last 5th kingdom, which is basically the 4th kingdom, reborn, right? The Roman Empire, which was ruled by the Edomites back then, and they lost their rulership to the Israelites, right? The so-called Negroes, and then eventually they regained rulership during the Renaissance, where they took over Europe from the Negroes, and now they're currently in power. Well, they are the 5th beast, or should I say they're ruling in the 5th empire. It's about to crumble, or should I say it is crumbling and it's about to fall completely. And before that fall happens, all these things are going to be getting exposed. This is why everybody's finding out about all the corruption in the government, the corruption in the media, how Amalek controls the movie systems, the music systems, the sports, entertainment, how it's all been lies, right? Because like it tells us in in Luke, right? There's nothing hid that shall not be revealed. The Lord is revealing these devils, these Edomites, for what they've done, how they've set up a system of lies around the world, so that way they can rule it without people knowing. This is Proverbs 14:12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So, like I said, these devils, these Edomites, they've set up a system of lies, including things like the medical system, our history, right? The economy. Everything is a system of smoke and mirrors, okay? And to live in this kingdom, in this world, under Esau's ways of life, is going to lead you to death. We already see that the policies, the things that Esau is doing, from spraying these chemicals in the air to putting the poisons in the food. Now, we all ultimately know why they're doing it, right? Because they need to get rid of the Israelites, right? They want to be the only ones left behind. But the point being is that that's not what it tells us is going to happen in the Bible, right? These devils are definitely going to try to kill off us Israelites, but the Bible lets us know that, we prevail. 1/3 of the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, that's 1 out of every 3 Negro, Latino, Native Americans, are going to wake up to the biblical truth of what the gospel is actually talking about, how it is our ancient lost heritage for the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, right? And that these 1/3 of Israelites are going to come back and start to live their lives as Israelites, okay? They're going to realize that this truth isn't a religion, it's a heritage, and they're simply coming back to living as their ancestral selves. Now, in the meantime, you have the 2/3 of our people, the ones that aren't going to wake up, or just they're so far gone that they don't even care about this truth, right? They'd rather go down with the ship. And along with them are going to be the Edomites that are going to be taken out by the Lord when he comes back. This is why Esau at the very top, right? Top military, the top government, they're all preparing themselves for a fight with God. But before they they fight against God, they're going to fight against the current world's power status quo, right? They're going to take down the old systems, which is why we're seeing Trump purposely implode the economies here in America, and really for that matter around the world, because the rest of the world depends on the US dollar as the reserve currency. But again, these devils, these kings of Edom, they're pulling the plug. We are fastly plunging into the new world order that Esau is setting up. And with that comes the MOTB, comes the new policies, the 15-minute cities, which are basically the lockdowns, right? The martial law, which is going to help us get to those locations, right? People are already talking about on April 20th, Easter Sunday, right, that Trump is going to declare martial law because of all the riots. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, just because when you look at where that came from, it's that political pundit guy, Carvel. He's like a Democrat, that bald guy, bald Edomite, right? He's against Trump, so he brought that out, and people are picking it up. But who knows? The point being is that the Bible does tell us in 2nd Ezra that they are going to lock down cities, and you ain't going to be able to travel. So we know that there's going to be a form of martial law. Again, what is it? Jeremiah 30:7, Jacob's trouble, right? Echoes this, letting us know that there's going to be massive uprisings against the Israelites. It's going to, and I'm sure everybody else, but us Israelites, because we're the main characters of the Bible, you know, it refers to this time as Jacob's trouble. But again, like it tells us, we are going to be saved out of it, right? The Israelites, the 1/3 specifically, are going to be the ones saved out of the coming trouble. And this is why, for us Israelites, us Negro, Latino, Native Americans, who have known something's off, known something, that there's something more than just these imaginary, you know, life that we're living, like the guy explained in the beginning. Well, this is what you're looking for. This is the true narrative of what is literally going on in the world, okay? It's what the Bible is actually speaking about, which the devils of these world, these Edomites, have fought, and really also all of these other nations that are confederate, that are joined on to these Edomites, have worked together to mislead the people, rewrite history, change, or should I say attempted to change the truth, but the truth has survived. Everything that these devils have set up, or said they have set up, has been a lie. And the world, and especially us Israelites, the ones that wake up, are going to realize this, as it tells us in the Bible. This is Deuteronomy 33:29. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency. And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Right? Meaning that we're going to take over. Right? And who are we going to take over? Our enemies. And who are our enemies? Basically all the other 17 nations, but primarily these Edomites. Right? We're basically going to take over. And these devils, now this is the point here, right? Our enemies, they're going to be found liars onto us, right? This is why right now all the medical corruption that's being found out, the poisons in the food, the history which has been, you know, just decimated, it's all coming out right now. And these devils are being found to be liars, okay? This is why the media is falling apart. This is why nobody goes to the movies anymore. This is why nobody pays attention to the experts, right? Because the thing is the magic that these Edomites used to use, and I'm talking about literal magic, right? These devils use left-hand witchcraft to enchant the population of the world, to make them believe certain things. And what I'm talking about is like what you see in marketing and, you know, social studies, and, you know, the way that they manipulate crowds with marketing and suggestive reasoning, laws, putting chemicals in food, making certain colors vibrate at certain frequencies. All this stuff is basically high-level magic that these Edomite devils have perfected. Okay, but what's happening, because the Lord is now raising the vibration of everybody on the earth, which is why the earth is vibrating faster now, which we could see by the Schumann resonance. Everybody now is starting to become more aware, especially us Israelites, which is why now, with the help of going back to the 50s, Abba Bivens, all the way, to the apostles of today, we are now able to get this truth where before, for hundreds of years, we have been lost, even though we've had these scriptures for us, right? They've been with us this whole time, though we've been lost as a people. We forgot our heritage, as it tells us in Jeremiah 17:4. But now is the time that the scriptures are speaking, that it's the time of the reemergence of the Messiah, which these devils are making fun of on their Saturday Night Live comedy shows, right? We're living in those times, right? Because why? Well, because everything is fake and gay, right? This is Jeremiah 51:6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. And when it tells you about the midst of Babylon, Babylon is basically America, okay, in the Bible. What the Lord is telling us Israelites to do in this case, this is a future, this is a warning to the future, basically to us in this time now, okay? The Lord is basically telling us that we need to come out of the ways of this American lifestyle, right? The whole American dream, the believing that America, is going to make it again, and living by Western, or should I say, Western culture, but realistically it would be referred to as Edomite, culture, Edomite society. We got to flee out of this wickedness, right? That's the whole, woke lifestyle, the DEI, and all that, wickedness that these devils have been pushing around the world, the pedophilia, and, all that sexual depraved lifestyle. Now, like the Bible tells us, right? It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon. So you don't have to literally leave America, right? Because for the most part, the U.S. controls the entire world, right? In some way or another, directly or indirectly. So you can't really flee out of America and be promised salvation, right? If the Lord has your number, you're going to be destroyed wherever you flee at. So what this is telling us is to come out of the ways of the westernized, Americanized system, right? The Edomite empire. And what are we supposed to do? Well, we're supposed to deliver our souls. And what does that mean, right? Well, that means that we come back and we start doing the righteous work. You basically have to learn what the Bible talks about, okay? And in learning what the true narrative of the Bible, you'll then, trust me, if you're a wise man, you'll start to follow what the Bible literally says, because it makes sense, and especially it benefits us because we're the Israelites. Now, that being said, if we don't do this, we don't basically come back to the Lord and start performing the righteous works, and hence providing that righteous fruit, what's going to happen is we're going to be cut off. Why? Well, because we've joined on to the iniquity of this wicked Edomite empire. And this is why we tell people, right, that don't try not to build a future life here in America, right? Yeah, we could definitely live here. We could buy houses, interact in commerce, and all the way up until they introduce the mark of the beast, right? We basically are just wanderers in this land until the Lord comes back to put us back in our land when real life starts. Until then, we're simply just working in this whole imaginary kingdom of the Edomites. Now check this out. This is Revelations 18 and 23. And this is talking about the end of Babylon the Great, America, and namely the Edomite world power, the Edomite empire, which the Lord is currently working on destroying. And the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all the nations deceived. So when I say that it's literal magic, I'm not lying. These devils literally are doing magic on you. Okay, and for an even more clear breakdown of this, let's go to the GNT, the Good News Translation. It makes it more plain. It says, "Never again will the light of a lamp be seen in you. No more will the voices of brides and grooms be heard in you. Your merchants were the most powerful in all the world, and with your false magic, you deceived all the people of the world." You see, these devils who are currently in power, right? Because what does it say? Your merchants are the most powerful. Who are the most powerful merchants in the world? These Edomites, the so-called Caucasian and Israeli people. Okay, this is how we know who the Edomites are. This is how we know who the wicked of the Bible is referring to. And don't say China, right? Because China is just simply in power because Amalek set them up. Go back to Chairman Mao and look who he learned from. Look where he went to school at. Basically, Amalek was all up in his business and helped to foster the communist Chinese empire. Now, that being said, false magic is what these devils use. Now, over here in California, we just had this music festival called Coachella, and you could look at all the acts there, man. They're all doing Satanist rituals. You had Lady Gaga doing a straight up fucking Satanist ritual in front of people. And before that, she even went on Saturday Night Live and did an enchantment on TV. All that shit, all that crap that they say is art or it's comedy or it's a music performance. These devils frame it in that manner so that way they could do full-on rituals in front of us. But what does the Lord say? This is what the Lord says to these Edomites who are using this left-hand magic to try to conquer the world and destroy us Israelites. This is Isaiah 47:12. "Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, be thou shalt be able to profit. If so, be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee, with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one of his to his quarters. None shall save thee." Salaki Akim, I know that was a long couple of scriptures, but it so precisely explains what is the end of these Edomites, specifically for enchanting and using black magic, witchcraft, upon the inhabitants of the world that they share the world with, and especially against us Israelites. Okay, this is what it means when it says that thou hast labored since thy youth, meaning that since Esau was, as a people, and this isn't just talking about like one person, this is talking about the whole Edomite people. So consider all the Caucasian and all the Israelis in the world. Those are the descendants of Esau. Those are the Edomites, okay? So when they were beginning as a people, as their own race, right? They, even back then, they got into what we would refer to as pagan, rituals, right? That's what it was referred to. Before then, it was just simply known as the Canaanite religion, right? Or, we call it also Satanism. But these devils were basically into that stuff, okay? Since all the way back then, okay? Now, it tells us here, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels, meaning that these Edomite devils, they've gone through to their scientists, their economists, their literal, scientists, the astrologers, right? NASA and, all these people who are trying to break into different realms, right? With those quantum computers and whatnot, CERN, Large Hadron Collider. These devils are going out of their mind trying to find an escape from the Lord coming to destroy them, right? This is what it means that they're wearied by the multitude of thy counsels. They've asked everybody and they've gotten no satisfactory answer, because like I've shown in this video, right, talking about Project Looking Glass, where the army literally had, witches or clairvoyance people look into the future to see that their end is inevitable. Other than that, this tells us about that they're going to basically be burnt up like stubble. What's going to cause that? Those nuclear missiles, along with the chariots, destroying them in the end time events, right? World War III is going to kick off, Hakim, and then what's going to happen is that there is going to be a full-on nuclear war that happens, right? And the Israelites, the 1/3 of our people, are going to be the ones being saved out of those coming explosions that the Lord is going to allow these Edomites to use to basically cleanse them off of the face of the earth, right? And this is why you ultimately need to come back and start following what the Lord says, because playtime's over, okay? We have to come back and do that which we were created to do, right? To fulfill the prophecies, fulfill our role, which is to be the Lord's, people, okay? And why is that? Because, well, that's because there's going to be nothing left of America, right? You want to stick with America, you're going to get destroyed with America, right? This is why we got to come back to our true heritage, our true people, our true power, our true God, right? That's Yahweh in the name of His only Son, Yahweh Shai, right? That's who we are following. That's our God. That's our power. Continue. It says, it's also going to tell us that all the people that have been working with these devils, the Chinese, the Arabs, all these other merchants of the world that come here to America to sell, they're ultimately going to go back to their kingdom, right? And they're going to basically be waiting to be told what to do by us Israelites, as far as setting up the new world order, or should I say the true world order, right? So either way, okay, I wanted to show this video and wanted to show how the Bible explains that this world is going to be a kingdom of lies, which we could see happening literally in front of our face. So either way, hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem El Shai, Ba'Shem Ruach Kodesh. Shalom.